that you're involved with. What was your last experience for the last 12 years?
So, you want to know where I'm going now, or
right now? Yeah, break down what's going on right now.
Well, right now I'm currently working for an organization called Cases. Cases has been around for, I believe, over 50 years. What we do is we work with at-risk youth. We advocate for these kids, and we appeal to the courts and the judge, and they go through this program. And you basically, as opposed to you issuing incarceration, allow us to, try to make a change within these kids so that, they don't have to end up in the system for a very long time. So before this job, I was working for an organization called Good Shepherd in Brooklyn, East New York. Mm-hmm. I was a mentor down there. So basically what I've been doing since I've been home is just, I'm going at the youth the same way that the government and the system is going at them to incarcerate them. My goal and my mission is to try to shed light on what is really going on in the world to them, and hopefully, I can't change their actions. So what I do is I try to change their mindset, and when I change their mindset, I'm then able to change their actions. Mm-hmm. So that's been my mission and my goal, since I've been home.
Got you. How long you been
home? March 7th. 2016.
All right, well, not even a year. You on your grind, helping others.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had many of jobs. It's just so it's sad how the media and these people feed you certain information and you just believe it because when you hear it, you don't. We're not taught to do independent research. So when we hear it, we become mockingbirds. We hear it and then we repeat it. And one of the things you often hear is when you're in the system is that when you have a felony or you go to prison and you come out, there's no jobs. There's many of jobs, many. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of individuals learning how to build themselves up to obtain these jobs. Mm-hmm. That's the part that's missing because there's many of jobs. I've been home and turned down jobs. I've been doing so much work out here. My name is starting to spread around I'm working, and it's like, how is he able to come into these programs? Day one. I don't care what borough, what community. If it's the Black and Latin community, just put me in there and leave the room. You know what I'm saying? I got it from there.
Gotcha.
And they're just trying to figure out how am I able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just been my mission since I've been home. I've just been helping the youth, uplift themselves as opposed to going to jail, detention, and prison.
Mm-hmm. That's deep. The rumor is this: a lot of people don't believe in the prison industrial system. Mm-hmm. Can you break that down a little bit because you experienced it yourself? How the behind those prison walls is a new plantation, and I know
right.
We spoke on it, and you spoke on the. You was breaking the Willy Lynch Chip when you was inside. Can you go over some stuff with that?
So, they call it corrections first and foremost, and this system is not designed to actually better you in any way. What it does is it actually makes you worse than when you went in. So you come out worse. And it kind of it sets you up for the revolving door, what they call the recidivism rate. It sets you up for that. It sets you up for failure. So when individuals go in there, typically what is going on in a normal day in the prison system is individuals are doing drugs, they're drinking alcohol, they're just lifting weights and playing basketball. That's it. And what amazed me was the amount of complaints and cries that, we want to go home, but yet every single facility that I've been in, when you go to the law library, it's like two dudes in it. You know what I'm saying? But the yard is packed. The yard is just packed. Like anything dealing with recreation and fun, everyone is there. But yet the actual place that will enable you to go home which is the law library, it's empty. You see what I'm saying? So it just, at first I was in there just doing the typical things individuals doing. I came from gang banging. I was blood, and not only was I blood, I reached the peak that an individual could reach in that organization. I was what was called a GF, meaning I had my own set. So I always had, I was always charismatic. I always had people following me, listening to me.
Definitely.
It just took, a few things to just, wake me up.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things was, like I told you, was my big homie at the time, his name was Killer B. This guy was the ultimate gangster to me. You know what I'm saying? This guy would cut dudes, stab dudes. He had the utmost respect within the prison system. And what happened was his mother passed away, and I was on the same company as him, meaning we was on the same tier. So I went to his cell to go see how he was doing, and he was just in the cell crying. He was just crying tears in front of me. And that was one of the things that woke me up, because I said to myself, damn, I can't. One of the things I didn't want was to be incarcerated and to lose my mom. And her last memory of me was a bad one or a negative one. And my idea, like I told you, my idea of rest in peace is when the parents move on and they're actually happy, because they're happy, but, with who they left behind. And I know everything is going to be all right because you're here.
Yeah.
Not that memory of me out there robbing people, stealing, selling drugs, and etc. So that was my idea of rest in peace. And a couple months after that, my mother, I found out, had cancer. And I was like, wow, this could happen to me. So I had to start to reshape, my mindset and my actions so that she could be proud of me and say, that's my son. And I just began to do that. I just began on this path of education. I went to college, graduated from Bard College with an associate's degree. I went into voluntary programs, meaning I signed up for programs like alternative to violence, anger management, HIV awareness classes. You name it, I was in it. And then I just got so good at these things, they just started offering the class to me to teach my peers. And that's when I realized, who better than to teach my peers than me? You know what I'm saying? Why is it that someone else outside of the community that doesn't understand the community, don't understand the people, nor the language, always coming in to teach us? And then they get surprised when we're not receptive to the message. It's like, I can't hear you. So it was like I realized my calling, you have to do it. I got to do it. And that's what I began to do.
That's peace. You come a long way, basically switching up. What was the turning? You said the turning point was when you saw your OG, actually break down.
Yeah, I saw him break down, and he was just crying. It hurt him, and that just made me say, damn, man, it got to be more than to what we doing, than just out here banging and just violating and killing each other. And that's when I spoke to you about the Willy Lynch syndrome, which people say is a myth, but it's really not. If you read that letter that he produced to the slave masters to teach how to break slaves and keep us at odds, that still continues today, to this very day. And that's what we were doing. If you go into the prison system, it's so segregated. Everyone has their own tables, their own weight court, their own this, their own area. And if you don't belong to that particular circle, you can't be in that area. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because the whole time individuals are in there stabbing and cutting each other, the real enemy, no one does anything to them. You know what I'm saying? Except hold your head down. It's to the point that you won't even look them in their face when they're talking to you. But yet, if I step on your sneaker, you ready to tell me to come to the yard and get my gun and bang.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is what's going on in there, and it's not just in there. It's going on out here in these streets. We were just taught to hate each other so much that we can't see it. We can't see it. And the people that's truly violent, we say nothing to.
It's embedded in that in our mind.
In our very DNA.
There
it's in our DNA from slavery.
You know,
this is what they did. They would instill fear in us. They would teach us to fear them but not respect each other. And, I went to Attica Correctional Facility. And
hard time.
When you go into what they call intake, so this big guy comes out. This guy about your height, about 6'5", heavy guy, right? And his spiel is, welcome to Attica Correctional Facility. This is a man's facility. You do what you got to do, you'll be okay here. If you violate any one of my staff members, we will kill you. I don't care what you do to each other, but if you violate one of my staff, I swear we will kill you. And they're not playing. They do that. And so that spreads, and that's in your mind, and it's embedded in your head. So you just violate each other all day.
With a whole different type of person, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because basically you're fighting to stay alive, to make it out this time frame that you have in there. At the same time, you got to deal with the inmates, and also you got to deal with the people who are supposed to be correcting you or helping you in the situation.
Right.
In prison, I know there's a couple of programs, but is there any effective programs, you think?
I believe that the programs that are effective are the ones that individuals go into voluntarily, because they only have one or two programs that is mandated. And why I really don't count that is because you're mandated, meaning if you don't go to the program, you get a ticket, which means if you get the ticket, they could put you either in the box or keep lock. Keep lock means you're just in your cell for 23 hours. You're just in there. So nobody wants that. So obviously I'm going to go to program. So what counts to me is the program individuals voluntarily go into to try to better themselves and learn something. So you have, like I said, I did it. I went into HIV, AIDS awareness class. I took the basic class. I just fell in love with the information. And for me, that was a subject that was needed to be brought back to my community, because our people are the ones that's affected by this the most. So why not learn about it? You know what I'm saying? The things that's going on in our community, people have a tendency to look down on us so much, but yet what they don't realize is we just simply don't know. We weren't taught. So if we don't know, we are then not held accountable. But now, like I tell my students, after you get with me and you learn this, now you're held accountable.
Gotcha.
So I don't promote certain things. I don't tell them not to have sex. They're going to do it. This is the generation we live. This is just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But there's ways to go about doing that. Protecting yourself and knowing about the virus and how it spreads and how it works. Mm-hmm. That's important.
It's very important. Is AIDS very high within the correctional facilities that you are in, Attica and the others?
I didn't hear the question.
Is the AIDS rate, is it high? Because we hear it from outside. You've been inside. We hear from outside, but you can't trust the media or the powers that be to give us the right information. So from you being inside, do you see a high rate of HIV in there?
I don't want to say it's a high rate, but it definitely exists in there a lot. But what's going on is, like I said, this system that they have is by design, and nothing they do is by a coincidence. This has been thought out and planned. The powers that be that secretly plot against the people that they aspire to incarcerate, they sit, they think, they plot, and they execute. So in prison, what I realized is something like, let's say the feds. In the feds, there's no conjugal visits, meaning you can't get married and go out in what we call a trailer. You get to go out with your wife for 3 days and just be with her. They don't have that in the feds. And we know the feds gives out like 300, 400 months. You know what I'm saying? You're talking years upon years. And what they also have is 10-man cells, 9, 8, 7, all the way down. So if you're in a cell with 10 men and you're doing 35, 45 years, what do you think is happening in this situation here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is madness that they do.
Mm-hmm.
This is and you have inside the correction system, individuals are turning into homosexuals. They're just literally before your eyes. Like 1 month, a dude be like, yo, that's killer right there. 3 years later, you see him in another facility, and he's Kim. And he be like, yo, what's up? What happened? He's like, nah,
wow.
this is who I am. Like, one of the rules is they can go to the clinic and receive like these hormone pills where they can grow breasts and make their voice lighter.
Yeah,
you know, and in prison, like
I've been talking about that. Young Thug.
In prison, you can do this. So what's going on now is they'll go and they start conforming and changing and really believing in their mind that they are females. And some of them have done such a hell of a job that when you look, you would really believe that that's a woman. The only way you know that it's a man is because they have on state greens. If they didn't have on state greens, you wouldn't be able to tell. So now here it is, this individual with breasts. They'll take the Kool-Aid, the old Kool-Aid, with the one that with no sugar in it, the sour one, you know, that get red. The dye, they'll dye their lips, dye their hair.
Wow. And
they're taking these hormone pills, and their voice starts sounding feminine. They buy Muslim oil, and then just you running around a bunch of men that did 35, 45 years to life.
Wow. Yeah, I think this is definitely preparing. Like right now in the world, and I know you came back home, you were looking around like, what the hell's going on? Because I know you look at the youth now; they wear and they act totally different the way we act.
They're becoming feminized. It's like the roles have been reversed. Yes. The women are stepping up and handling business like men should, and the men are sitting around doing nothing, expecting the women to take care of them. This is what's going on. Men aren't being men anymore. They're having babies. They're running off on their children. They're not taking care of them. And then you wonder why, you know, that chain or that cycle continues. You know, that individual's father went to prison. Then he went to prison. And now your son is about to be reared up to do the same as you. So this is what's going on. And I see that they're just, like, even in corrections, a large portion of the meals that they're being served is soybean. And when you do the research on the soybean, it actually makes it turns you feminine. And they're getting this on a daily basis because you only get 3 meals a day, and almost every meal contains that soybean. They don't get real meat or none of that in there.
Yeah, I was looking at something before. I think it was Dr. Umar. He was talking about how the food and drug industry are putting these certain chemicals which makes the male hormones act differently, and it turns us feminine. And I believe that. I mean, and I can see how these kids, they run around now, they're already feminine. And by the time they hit prison, because it's made for them to hit prison, by the time they get in there, if they didn't have a homosexual encounter, when they get in prison, they will definitely get that encounter.
They get introduced to it. You get introduced to it. And it's crazy because on the outside, you know, a lot of times they say the homosexual thing comes from prison and the pants off your ass thing comes from prison. It's not true, because one of the biggest things, especially the elders in there, the ones that have their mindset, they tell you, yo, pull your pants up. You know what I'm saying? They tell you that in there, like pull your pants up.
They tell you to pull your pants up.
Absolutely. You're not going to walk around here and run around here like that and be amongst us.
Gotcha. You said you witnessed, give me an example of the racism by the correctional officers within the facility.
I mean, basically, what I tell people is, because, you know, some guys really, it amazed me. I taught some classes, and I asked some of the youth if they are aware of the Ku Klux Klan, and some of them say no. They don't even know who that is, to be honest.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah. And I've showed, certain clips of YouTube and things of that nature to show them who that is. And they're like, oh, the guys with the sheets, they don't exist anymore. I'm like, oh no, they exist. They just don't wear sheets on their head.
You're right.
They're police officers, they're corrections officers, they're politicians, and they're getting in position to make these rules to actually hang us, not by actual physical noose around our neck, by doing other things like we'll say Donald Trump. So I asked the youth, how do they feel about that? And their response is, I don't give a fuck about Donald Trump.
Yeah, so
and I'm like, well, you should. They're like, why should I? I'm like, well, it's good to know what these politicians and government agents advocate. Because when you know what they advocate, you know what they're going to come with. So you have two choices. Either adapt and conform to what's about to happen, or you're going to get washed up in the process. So Donald Trump blatantly says that he advocates and supports stop and frisk. And they're like, what? I'm like, yes. And who do you think stop and frisk affects? Not the Caucasian in the business suit and tie.
Yep, exactly. His big homie is Rudy Giuliani, so he definitely stands by him with that stop and frisk, and it's definitely to target us, target our youth, definitely.
Absolutely. And so it's the same thing inside the corrections system. The racism is at an all-time high, and you have the Caucasians there in the area. They stick together. They stay together. All the Latin community, they stay together. But then you have a Jamaican area. Then you have another area with the Bloods. In another area, you'll have another gang. And everybody in there going through the same struggle and can't see it. But yet, you're dealing with racist officers every single day. They abuse those men and women in the system. They abuse them. They abuse them every single day, and they overstep their boundaries. And what I realized is, because, at one point I would always complain and say this, that, and the third. And what I realized was how you put a cease to that is don't go. You don't have to go. Don't go. When we don't go to prison, then they have no job. Then they have to go do something else.
That's very true.
Instead of us always, because, some guys, we have think tanks in there. We think about how to make things better. How can we write up this and write up that and advocate? No, I don't want better commissary. Let's talk about not coming to prison, period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to write a report and write Albany and say the officer took my Jordans. I'm in prison. I shouldn't be wearing Jordans anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is what I was caught up in. Like, I was in the yard, Shamik, wearing Jordans, and like it's just madness. Like, nah, I don't want to write a report on that. Let's write a report and try to get good time, because New York don't have that. You have to do 85% of your time. We are the only state that has that.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Say that again. Yeah. Someone missed it.
Right. 85%? We do 85% of our time. So whatever time you got to do 85 of that. Where other states, like you have California, if you do a day, you earn a day. This is why other states where you see guys that have like 20 this or 20 that, and they're getting out. And people are like, how? It's because they're earning, merit time or good time and merit boards. New York State, we don't have that.
And I know that.
Let's sit down and write that up. Let's get good time. Let's protest and riot for that. Not riot because, they're taking the clothes, and it's getting worse. They're taking the clothes back. They're taking out certain foods. Dudes can't really eat. They're just making it worse and worse in there. And individuals don't see that the answer is not trying to make that better or comfortable. Let's just not go. Period.
Yes. You did 12 on your first, right? It's your first time ever being?
Yeah, first and only and last. I did. I was sentenced to 15 years. I ended up doing 12 years, 6 months. I actually was supposed to do 13, but I got 6 months off my time because I went to college and I graduated, and I was released 6 months early. So for me, that was actually a blessing.
They're more lenient to let you out earlier.
Right, but I mean, they came out with the rule, and many individuals in there aren't even aware of the rule, number one. And two, while everybody was excited, like I said, my third eye is open. I don't just see things with two eyes. I see things with my third eye. And what I realized was, yeah, they came out with this rule, and people were excited, but you have to go to the law library and read the qualifications on how to achieve getting 6 months off your time. And when you read it, one of the things was it said you have to have graduated from college. But in order for you to get in college, you have to have at least a GED or high school diploma. More than, I would say, I'm really going to go out there and say more than 90% of the prison population does not even have a high school diploma or GED. Mm-hmm. So they already knew you weren't going to meet these qualifications anyway.
Gotcha. So they make they have these qualifications that's just not realistic to the prisoner.
And then they put things in front of you. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, we're going to pass the rule. You can wear Jordans. You just can't have the bubble. And then the prison population gets excited while their whole life is just being drained and just ruined year after year. You're getting fly in prison. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just madness. You just mad fly. You got YSL and Polo and all that in prison.
And everybody looking pretty. Looking pretty for. You know what I mean?
Right.
That goes back to the man just being bamboozled from the get. You know, them teaching us, you know what I mean, that, you know, you got to look a certain way, and, you know, we our people have been feeding into just a bunch of bull crap for so long. You know what I mean?
For so long.
And that's what's competing against each other. You know?
Right.
One dude will say, well, I got the Jordans. Well, you ain't got the new Jordans. These just came out last week. You know, just competing. I got the Beamer, but your Beamer's white. I got the Beamer with the fresh red. You know what I mean? I'm causing more noise than you because I got fresh red.
I was just having a conversation with my students yesterday about this. Because I wear Polo. I wear all those things. But what I teach them is I don't buy that from Macy's. Like, wear one Polo shirt or, you know, it costs like $80. I drive to Woodbury Commons and I go get sales. I set up alerts on my phone and they alert me saying the whole store is 60% off, and then I go shop. When the Jordans come out on Friday, December 1st, I'll wait till March. Mm-hmm. It's the same Jordans you got. I just didn't get them the day they dropped. What is the difference? Mm-hmm. I have them. It's just knowing when our people suffer from instant gratification. Like, we have to have it now. Like, no one has. We haven't been taught to just be patient, work, and just reap what you sow. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the reason why a lot of us are in prison.
Exactly.
You know, it goes into that. And I mean, just trying to keep up with the Joneses, and you know, being in so much competition with each other. I mean, it's a sad thing. It's as much as we still talk about it, and everybody's being so socially conscious about it, it's still happening because there's another generation that's coming up, and this new generation is. New York was one thing, but I took a trip to Atlanta a while back. You know what I mean? New Jersey is totally different. I mean, you know, the mindsets is totally different. I mean,
that's the thing. We have to attack our kids' minds, and we have to teach them. And I keep emphasizing that we have to do it. We continuously look for someone else outside of the community to come into the community and teach us. And then when they teach us, they misteach us. They misrepresent us. They misdiagnose us. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I went to court to advocate for one of the kids, and the judge was like, you know, you need to read his file. You know, he's been diagnosed with ADHD and PD, all these letters. And I'm like, he don't have that. I'm going to tell you what he got. He's black, he's angry, and he's mad. That's it. There's no other, all this other, he don't know how to behave. And I told one of my students that got, you know, a little fresh with one of the other staff members. And I'm like, you're not going to come in here and constantly violate this woman that's, you know, setting out to help you. And the one that violates you, it amazes me how you show him so much respect. And that's that white judge. When you go to court, you're quiet, you're well behaved. You don't have ADHD when you're in court. I've never seen nobody wild out in court. My entire time involved with this whole called justice system, I've never seen these kids going, and they keep it real. They're like, nah, don't, but you can't. That's what they say. You can't. I'm like, why you can't? It's because of that fear that was embedded in you. You can't violate the white man. Say it what it is. You can't violate him, but you can violate me though.
Yeah.
That don't make sense.
Yeah. What do you think we can do to help the youth break that chain of fearing our own? What do you think we can do with that?
One, they have to be taught to love themselves. If they're not taught to love themselves, they're not going to have love for nobody else. It's important to see and teach them history, not any old history, black history. It's important for them to, like I said, love and appreciate themselves and know that they can do better if they just sit down, think, and contemplate and set out to do the actual goals they set out to achieve. Another thing is, they like money. The saying now is to get to the bag, right? That's their thing. We gotta get to the bag. But the thing is, how? How do you get to the bag? And the way you get to the bag legitimately is through the workforce. Our kids have not had classes or have been taught what they call job readiness. We were never taught those things. Like, everyone outside of a community is taught that, like what to say, what to wear, what to do, what not to do during a job interview, or even before you even get to an interview, a resume. How to construct a resume.
We're just taught to go to school, learn how to work for someone else, and when you get there, you'll get your experience. And before don't worry about the experience. Just learn.
To work for me. That's what they're reared up. So it's like I said, it's just modern day slavery, and the same thing with the whole corrections. Like we were talking last week, corrections is a modern day slavery, and I teach my kids, and I open their eyes, and they tell me no. So one thing I don't like to do is just talk. I show them. I put the smart board on. I Google the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment clearly states that slavery was abolished, but yet it exists if one gets incarcerated. Then what they worded it in a way. They said servitude. That was the word they used. Same thing.
Yeah. You think
same thing?
Basically, you're a believer. The Constitution wasn't for us.
Basically. And so
but,
if incarceration is now legally slavery, then you have to look into who's being incarcerated. Not them.
And you see that.
Us.
Yeah. And you see that within the prison system. What are things that you see that, the kind of work? And you was telling me back, and I was freaking, I was on a wild moment how much guys was getting paid for working there. What kind of work that happens inside?
They have all types of industries, various industries like they do out here. Electrician, plumbing, building maintenance, welding, asbestos. I mean, you name it.
These are jobs
that
have 401k benefits, the full package out here.
Right. You don't have none of that in there. They don't even have the proper equipment for the things that I just mentioned. Something like asbestos takes a whole suit, a whole type of suit, gloves and masks that you have to wear when dealing with asbestos. They give them them little white masks that people wear. They give them that. Yeah, and some rubber gloves. But it's amazing because our people know how to do everything. So we do top-notch quality work, and then they turn around and give you 16 hour. They give you 16 cents an hour.
16 cents?
Yes, cents.
Wow.
And then, so what happens now is you get your little 16 cents an hour, and by the end of the week, you get paid every 2 weeks. You might see $30-something. So what happens? now is once you receive your $30-something, they pass out what is called the commissary sheet. The commissary sheet is where you could put down a list of items of food that you want to buy from commissary. Commissary is located right in the jail. So what's happening is you're giving the jail right back the money that you just made.
You worked hard, 16 cents an hour. You could have made, basically they owe you about $1,000.
Absolutely, especially dealing with asbestos or plumbing.
Your lungs are about to collapse. You know, poison's all in your body. No benefit whatsoever.
I'm glad you said that, and that's the other issue, that they're in there and their health is deteriorating, and they come home sick, and they come home messed up and don't realize this. But when you're released, you don't have no money. You didn't have a plan, so now you're just out here, and it just gets worse. I read an article not too long ago about a guy that committed a crime on purpose because he said when he came home he couldn't afford the insulin shots. See, one thing that is going on in prison, they give you all of this medical treatment for free. They do that. However, when you come home, something like an insulin shot is expensive. So here it is. You have no job experience, no resume. You haven't been studying. You've just been working out and smoking weed in the yard, and now you're home and you need that insulin shot. Where are you going to get it from?
Yeah.
It's either do crime, because you're not going to die. You're going to do crime and go get that shot. Yeah. But one guy said he just didn't want to.
You might be better off to stay alive to get locked back up. So it's the
right.
Mentally, you think it's, hey, fuck it. If I didn't do this time, I wouldn't get this free health care that I need to survive.
Right.
But while I'm in here, I'm going to do some extra work. I'm going to go back.
That's what I did. I just got super focused, man. I just got super, focused. And I allowed nobody to knock me off my square. So while they would release the companies for yard and recreation, and everybody would make the left and go to the yard, I would make the right and go to do my papers or go to the library and do research and read and study. And I just did that, vigorously. I just kept going and studying and just bettering myself. And I learned and I prepared myself for society because they didn't prepare me for it. I had to do it on my own, and I'm glad that I did.
I'm happy you did too, brother, because that's hard. Because you're a needle in a haystack. A lot of dudes go into prison and they come back out and do the same thing. I have a stepbrother who's been locked up back and forth since the age of 14. I'm not even sure if you ever met him because he's been locked up so much. Consistently doing the same thing, getting used to that kind of environment. And once you get used to it, you can be very lost. And I commend you for, 12 years. It could have went any way,
Right.
Because you seems like you were successful at what you were doing when you was in there. You know, it could have went any way. But I'm happy that you took this blessing that God gave you, and to utilize it and into something positive.
Right.
It's a true blessing. Let's go. I want to go back into do they tax the money that you get?
I don't want to. I can't go deep into that, but I believe my belief is that they do, but the inmates do not receive that. If that's your question, the inmates do not receive any kind of tax. No, but I really believe that in some way, because you have to realize. I don't want to give an exact number, but you can definitely Google it. Like, for every inmate that is incarcerated, they receive money for that.
Okay.
So we are actually a business. That is a business for them. You know what I'm saying? That's a business. Like, we are their money. We have to, get incarcerated for these people to get their money. It's a chain. And the chain starts with us, the whoever the criminal is. It starts with the criminal to the cop, from the cop to the district attorney, from the district attorney to the judge, from the judge into the prisons.
Yes, it's cheapest.
Everybody gets paid.
It's definitely slavery.
It's modern day slavery.
Not even an independent contractor. Am I correct?
They have some independent facilities. Not all though, no, but they have some. They're trying to get rid of those, the independent ones, because I guess they're taking money out of their mouth. That's how I see it.
Okay. Well, so you said right now you're dealing with choices and you're mentoring. Tell me a little bit about the mentoring program.
The mentoring program is it's called Good Shepherds. You could Google that. It's Good Shepherds. There's different ones in different boroughs, but the site I was at was East New York Archers. A friend of mine was a mentor there, and I actually knew him from the inside, my man Prince. And once I came home, he already knew, because we would talk about this. Like, this wasn't like coincidence what I'm doing. I already knew I was gonna come home and do this, and he was on the same path that I was. So when he heard I was home, he gave a good word basically to the director over there, Akithia Smith. She's from Brooklyn. So they set up an interview, and I went in there, and, I mean, they just loved me. They just fell in love with me, and, like, she just seen the passion that I had to make a change, and I just was hired on the spot. I was hired, and, I still go down there, and I'm still in touch with her. Some of the mentees, they still call me and seek my advice and my guidance, even though I'm over here at Choices now. Mm-hmm. So basically you just, you take them out on trips, you go to their school, like whatever they need. It's like a father figure, man. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times what you realize when you get a group of these young kids and you speak to them, what you will find that they all have in common, or majority, I don't want to say all, but the majority, they don't have no father.
Yeah. Definitely. Do you think that's one of the major reasons why there's so many sisters in prison? Is that most likely,
I mean, it's one of. There's so many reasons. Like, a lot of my colleagues or people that I've encountered in this profession, they just got it wrong. Their whole ideology and views on what is going on and what is wrong is just totally off. And so my objective is to also teach them, So right now, I feel like, I need to put in the work that needs to be put in so that I can rise up in the ranks and make change. Because I tell my students, you can't really complain all the time. The way you make change is by doing what you got to do and get in. You can't make change from the outside. So you have to get in. So I realize a lot of these employers and these bosses and directors, they're actually clueless as to what the hell is going on with the community. But yet what's going on is they have the associates, the bachelor's, and master's degree. So they're being classified based off of that. Mm-hmm. But you are in the wrong profession. Because when it comes to my people, ain't nobody better than me. Than me. You know what I'm saying? Or people that come from where I come from and know what I know. Mm-hmm. You live where you live, but, you have your degrees. But yet you can't walk in a room in East New York and tell the room to be quiet and tell them to listen. Yeah. Your degree won't enable you to do that.
Yes, definitely. Some things you got to experience. And, just don't stop. Don't let nobody tell you they know more than you through what you know. You know what I mean? You experience yourself.
Right.
How can they get it? How anyone could get in contact with you in this organization? Well, the organization first. What website?
Oh, my organization, the one I'm working for now, is Cases. Mm-hmm. This is I work at the one in Harlem though. So there's a Cases in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens. I worked in Queens Justice Corp in Queens too. I worked there for 6 months under the director Willard Beal. He's amazing. He's great. I work with him. I work for an organization called Open Doors. They do a lot of community outreach. So anybody want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook. My Facebook is Jason Gordon. I mean, they could always contact you. If it's something positive, they want me to come in to speak or whatever. I'm available. They could contact you. You call me.
Yeah, we're working on a launch party soon, and after that, We should have a first event, and definitely would love you to come down and drop some knowledge.
Yeah, no problem. I'm always available for that.
So you on Facebook? Any special shout outs?
Wow, man, I definitely want to shout out to all the. I know they can't hear, man, but there's a lot of knuckleheads in the system, but there are a select few that is dying to come home. And one of the things I did realize that I had a responsibility not only to myself, but to those brothers that are sincere and want to come home and make a difference. I have to come home and do good, because when I do good, more people will say, well, we want more of that. Where did that come from? You know what I'm saying? We need more. And I'm like, well, they in the prison. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to shout out to all the brothers that's doing the right thing and that's waiting to come home. Definitely my mom. My mom is like, my crutch, my rock, man. My mom is official. I love my mom. She did the whole bid with me, not like some of it, part of it, the entire bid. You know what I'm saying? Even though I went to prison, I had all these friends. I didn't see none of them. It was my mom. When I wanted some money for commissary or to put money on the phone, she would take care of it.
Yeah.
And definitely to my queen, my girlfriend, Janelle. You remember Janelle that used to work at the job you had? Yeah. That's my queen. She's home. Mm-hmm. We doing good. We just building, man. We building together. We grow. I teach her. She teaches me. Mm-hmm. And we just so compatible. It's amazing how compatible her and I is. But definitely to you, man, because a big part of something I learned was when you had that company, man, that marketing company. It made me see a lot of things. At the time, I was always able to speak to people. I was always into that, and I remember. Even though I already knew Jason Howell, it was you who I saw on the Ave one day, and you had a suit on. Yeah. And you was like, yo, what you doing? Come over here. I got this. And then I went. And, it was all uphill from there. I was like 18, 17, 18, 19. And, I was earning a lot of money there, like me and Pahe. Like while the other kids was playing around, having fun, me and Pahe, y'all was putting $1,000 in our hand. You know what I'm saying?
There's some
legit. It was legit.
He's making legitimate drug money. It wasn't drug money,
and I had it down packed then. But you guys would wear suits, and I would laugh like, yo, why are you wearing suits and ties and stuff? But that's what it is. That's the world we live in, man. That's just what it is, and people have to conform and get into that. Don't be afraid to come out of that comfort zone. I dress down, but certain places I go, when I go to court or I meet parole officers, I dress the part, man. I look like something.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of kids these days, man, they just don't know. I teach mines. I keep my kids with uniforms and stuff like that. But I explain to them, it's certain places where you wear certain, you can't wear your street clothes everywhere. Unfortunately, you can't. Because stereotypes are just what we have to deal with in today's society.
That's just what's reality.
It's what reality is. Trayvon Martin got killed for wearing a hoodie. The hoodies, they connect the hoodie to, that's the way a thug or a criminal, that's what a thug wears. So to wear that type of stuff, and it's sad to say that as a father, I have to protect my child. So when as my son is kind of big for his age too, because I'm big too. He's 9 years old, but he looks like he's 12. So if he goes out, I make sure he looks presentable. Right. But we going to the basketball court, we going to the park. Throw your hoodie on. That's what we wear our hoodie and our attire. Anything else, throw your khakis on.
Dress for the occasion.
We got to be camouflaged. That's the camouflage. I tell a lot of people about this being camouflaged. Our people's the only people that has not been camouflaged, and I mean it as in when white people go into different territory, they camouflage themselves to the territory.
Right.
They learn the ways of the people. When they was coming here and meeting with the Native Americans, They was putting on Native American clothing. They were fitting in. They sat down with them. They ate corn with them. You know,
right.
they sat Indian style. They put the feather on their head. They blend in. They learned. They learn from other people, and then they take over. Pirates they are. You know what I mean? Devils. That's the savage way, but that's what they do. And we continue. If right now, if they're on top, it is what it is. They're on top. It's something you have to blend in a little bit to get back on top. You know.
Right.
That's the same thing, and they've been doing this since the beginning of time with Egypt, when they were going into Egypt, coming from
they just went in there and just stole all the knowledge.
The Greek was
basically.
There. The Greeks went in. They started looking like Egyptians too.
I mean, everything. If you get to the root of it, you see we either created or had a huge hand in it, and that's why I encourage everybody to do independent research, not just go by what everybody else outside of us say. You know, like the whole Columbus discovered America when our people was already here, or Thomas Edison and the light bulb, but then when you research, you find out it was Thomas Edison's slave that created the filament that goes in it to actually make the light bulb work.
A lot of people not
you know, it just goes on and on. I mean, the White House was drew up and designed by a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could go on and on with that, man. Like, we did it all. So
George Washington
just go in.
Plan out the whole capital, right? I believe.
Washington, D.C. I believe his name is Benjamin Banneker, I believe.
Right. Benjamin Banneker.
I think he was regarded as one of the greatest mathematicians of his time.
Was a Moor.
You know, and I even went to college and I had a discussion with my professor. You know, we was learning about Socrates and Plato, you know, all these great philosophers, and they're good. They're really good. I love, you know, their work and their books. But I asked my professor a question and I kind of stumped her. I said, why is it we always learn about Plato? Was it not true that Plato and Socrates went to Africa to learn? And she said yes. So why don't we learn about the people that taught them?
Exactly. Go to the root.
I want to know who that is. Because if Socrates is this deep, I want to learn about that brother that taught him.
Yeah, go to the root. Now, I know it's probably be a lot of Christians listening to this, but I'm going to end it off because it's the holidays. But what do you think about the holidays? You know, it's Christmas time, and everybody's being, you know, feeling happy and loving and spiritual. And, you know, how do you feel about the holidays?
I feel like it's good to be happy and spiritual. Spirituality is great. Mm-hmm. But I feel like our people only get handed the spiritual aspect, and we cling on to that and nothing else. Like I said, I read so many books. I read Bible, I read Quran, I read the Injil, I read the Torah. I read about Buddhism, and I take from them all. So I am no one thing. I'm like an onion, man. There's so many layers to me. So
knowledge is knowledge.
I said that to say I try to get people out of the whole, like, you know, you get on your knee and you pray and then that's it. Prayer is good. Meditation is good. Mm-hmm. But yet, once you do the prayer, then you must get up and put the work in to what it is you are trying to receive. And people say, oh, who are you to say, no, don't criticize me. That's what the books say. That's what the Bible say. It says faith without works is fruitless. And it makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes total sense. Right now, if I wanted money, I want to get to the bag, like how we started this interview, I got to go work. The bag is not going to come just out of the sky, or I'm just going to have an empty bag. I want my bag full, so I'm going to go work and put the work in necessary to achieve what it is I want. So in regards to all these holidays, I know the science and the root behind every single one of them, and not one of them are good when you do independent research and find out something such as Christmas. Mm-hmm. You know, they have the whole world duped into believing that this is Jesus' birthday. And it's not.
It's not.
Jesus was not born on December the 25th. Nimrod, this is Nimrod's birthday. And when you find out and do research on who Nimrod was, he's just evil. He did the opposite of what God said. And that's where you get the balls on the tree. Nimrod would kill dudes and take their head and use them for ornaments and put them on the tree. And that's where that came from. You know, and like I said, when you do independent research, you find out these things. Like, that's not his birthday. No one knows Jesus' birthday. It was to remain a secret. So how then did you come up with this date? And it was cold. And in the Bible it says that the sheep were grazing. Sheep don't graze December. It's not happening. So, you know, we're not even going to get into that right now. That'll probably be another.
Supposed to be the birthday of Horus. Am I right?
Yeah. It's a few guys. It's a few people.
Egyptian god, Horus, being the Holy Trinity. That's a whole different. That's a different show. We will talk about that. You know what I mean? I have people here in my inbox all day.
And so, you know, I mean, I'm gonna give you something that I seen that made me actually. I'm gonna tell you a story. It's real brief that I actually went into learning about Christmas. I was watching the Boondocks one day. Although people talk about this show and criticize it because, you know, they curse on that show. It's a cartoon where the two black kids, Riley and Huey, they curse. But in every episode, there's a message. And they're actually teaching. So they had the science of Christmas, Boondocks episode. And Huey was breaking it down to Riley like, yo, Christmas is a pagan holiday, which the Bible clearly says that. It does. He also said how the Greeks and the Romans, and they would, you know, get together and send all the women out of the land, and the men would get together, get drunk, and exchange gifts and have sex with each other. And I was like, wow. So what made me, when I watched that, I said, let me go research this. And I found some material, and it's true. How then do I celebrate something like that?
Yeah, it's true. The whole tree has a meaning, the balls, the star. I broke it down to a couple of people a while back. I got so much backlash talking about it. You know, most churches, I mean, and I do go to church. You know, I go to church. I won't say, you know, I'm a believer. I mean, we spoke about this. I'm a believer in God. You know, I can find God in a mosque. I can find God anywhere. God is always with me. So, you know, I'm a believer in everything, but the whole thing is I wish people would start talking and telling the truth.
That's the bottom line.
If you're a preacher and you're a pastor, you know the truth. Tell the people the truth. Tell them what you know. Don't hold back that material. I know people who go to school, Christianity school, to become pastors. They learn all this stuff. And I'm like, after you learned all that, how could you go back into your congregation and teach the bullshit you continuously been teaching?
For profit, for personal gain.
Profit, yeah, exactly. Because you know, if you told them the truth, they wouldn't want to come step in the church. You know, but I'm happy to hear your opinion on it. I think we're in the same. We're basically on the same wavelength with the whole Christmas thing. But it's a beautiful holiday. The meaning, it's good to have family.
Right. I'm definitely for that, family.
Definitely for the time you spend with the family. I'm definitely great to have a day off.
Yeah, definitely.
To show love, you know, buy somebody a present. Why not? You know what I mean? They looked out for you. Look out for them. All that's beautiful. You know what I mean?
The one thing that I do want to end with on that note is we have to stop going with what the status quo says. And so I definitely went out and bought gifts for all the children, but I refuse to credit my hard work to a fat Caucasian guy that does not exist. I let them know, here are your gifts, and this is from your mother, this is from me, this is from your aunt, this is from et cetera, because if you see what we're doing, again, we always do, good things or hard work and then give it right back to the oppressor. Because it is a known fact that anyone that gives an individual a gift, the one that takes the gift usually idolizes or respects the one that's giving them the gift.
Yes.
So why then would I strip that away from me and give it to
Why would you take away your own
guy?
blessing? That's taking away your own blessing. I told my son a while ago that, there's no Santa Claus. You know what Santa Claus is? Me. And I'm sorry I lied to you. You know what my son told me? He said, man, why did you just tell me the truth from the get?
That's it.
I told my son this when he was in first grade. We were just walking, he asked, and I was like, I'm sorry. He was upset, extremely upset.
Right.
Like, why didn't
because he really wholeheartedly believed in this man.
He did.
That brings the gifts down the chimney, and we don't even have a chimney.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So he was really, but he respects it now. He's like, yo, listen, I'm happy. Like, at first he was totally mad because he wanted to believe in this fairy tale.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I saw how he was reacting to it, and I had to kill that. Because
and that's good, man. That's what we got to do. We have to break that cycle, that brainwashing system that they put us through. Mm-hmm. And then they come up and then they start lying, and you'll say, "Damn, why are you lying? Where do you get this from?" Not knowing that they get it from you.
You, because you be consistently lying to them. You know what I mean? Definitely, brother. It was great talking to you once again. We could probably talk forever, man.
Yeah, but we'll save some.
We'll save some, definitely.
Give the people something to think about.
Definitely, yo. Anytime anybody want to come check this out, go to our Chronicles. Check out our hashtag our Chronicles on Instagram, our Chronicles Media on Facebook. The website will be coming up in January. Launch party at the end of January. More to come. Peace and blessing. Tell your friends, tell your family. We here. There's a lot of content coming out. Check out all the material. Things just flying out. We keeping it raw. That's how we are. You know what I mean? Our media, our stories, our way. Peace.
Right. Peace.